And it's time for the Mega Drive version. And the Mega Drive version of this level is really hard. It is supremely hard. So hard that I had to delay the update a couple of days because I had to practice this level a fair bit. So one difference from the other version that is pretty good is that the deadly mist stuff doesn't kill you instantly. Instead, it takes off 25 health points. So here's the only section in the entire level that uses the ectoplasm, which unfortunately it's kind of in a bad spot because in between the point where it is there and it's not there is a series of grapple points, which I'm not going to even bother with really, because it's hard enough as it is to grapple onto a grapple point by itself. It makes it a lot harder when there's something that's slowing you down and it throws your timing off. And just like the other ectoplasm in the other version, it functions just like water, which I'm not too happy with, but that's okay because it's only in this one little section. So the zombies can be taken care of in a number of ways. I'm going to use the grenade shot because it only takes 2 shots, and you know, we haven't given the grenade shot enough love throughout this game, and I feel we should. So we're gonna use it a little bit. Alright, so now we're at the boat part, and the boat part is right around the time that this level gets a little bit crazy in terms of what it expects you to do. Because now there's no longer any ground between you and the end of this level. So if you fall, you're going to end up getting yourself hurt, and with so little health, you're going to probably die a lot if you fall in the fog. So we have a choice. We can either continue riding the boat, or we can just leave it. I'm going to decide to leave it, because really it doesn't really serve much purpose outside of just maybe catching you and making this level slightly easier. So we're just going to ditch it for now. Also, you might notice that there's some gaps between these blocks. Well, those are there to pretty much dick you over whenever you're trying to wedge your staff. Because they're not really lined up together, it makes wedging your staff very hard, because it will only work in certain points. So now we're going to have to wedge and swing our way to the exit, which is not the easiest thing in the world, given that the hit detection for the staff swinging is not that great. And here we are at the exit, but before we go, we need to go ahead and exhaust the rest of these grenade shots because we're not using them where we're going. Because we need to be able to switch ammos very quickly for the next part, and the grenade shot just makes it more troublesome than it really needs to be, so we're going to get rid of them. Alright, now here's the hardest part in this entire level, and probably this entire game, is to climb the tower and escort Kwaku to the top. So here's a couple of differences between this version and the Super Nintendo version. First off, the spirits will only grab Kwaku from the left side, and they will only drag him to the left. Second of all, they don't really have to get to the end of the play area in order to make it count as a death. They just have to reach the end of the screen. So if you're on the right side of the screen, it's going to be pretty tough to recover the jar, because once they're on the left side of the screen and they drag him a little bit, you're pretty much done for from that point. And lastly, there's a ninja section in this tower climb, which I'm not too happy with, because this is, out of the entirety of this section, the ninja part is by far the hardest part to conquer, because there's a combination of input lag from the emulator, and there's just some really weird and wonky hit detection going on whenever I'm trying to do something like wedge my staff in those really, really, really thin bricks. And to the point that I failed like a bunch of times. I even got a game over with a grand total of about 12 lives. So that's 12 lives of fucking up to trying to get this done. And just doing this section makes me panic a whole lot, because you jump up and you expect your staff to wedge. Sometimes it doesn't, and then you just go into a panic and you end up dying for it. And we're in, don't worry, this might be the perfect run. But I have included some deaths because I want to make sure that everyone sees some of the bullshit that this level does. And we're just about at the end. Right about here I would recommend switching back to Maui, so that way we can just shoot the rest of them rather than trying to hit them with our staff, because you might risk falling off, and you're probably going to throw your controller across the room at that point, because we're right here at the end. Why would you want to why would you want to mess it up now? And we did it. Alright, let's take a look at some diffs. This one, we were just at the end of the level, we were about to complete it, and the next thing you know, yoink, I'm dead. So that kind of brings home the point that they don't really have to be at the end of the play area, they just have to be at the end of the screen. And if Kwaku just happens to be right next to it, well then you're pretty much screwed. So this next one, I'm having trouble trying to get my staff to wedge. So I get it right the first time, but I couldn't get it the second time for whatever reason. And then the game couldn't decide that if I was on a ledge or if I was on a platform, so I just couldn't jump properly, and I ended up falling into the fog. Which isn't either a programming quirk that's the game's fault, but I don't want to put too much, I don't want to directly blame it if it's, especially since this is emulated, and I don't want to explicitly say that it might be the game's fault. It could very well be the emulator's fault, for all we know. So this next one's weird, and by weird I mean they grab onto Kwaku and they just don't move anywhere, and I can't exactly shoot downwards, and I don't have any extra ammo to reach them, so we just end up dying to the fog. That was a really weird glitch, I guess. And lastly, the bonus stage. I do have something to say this time. So, up to this point, we've been able to just glide ourselves across the track, and we were able to occasionally jump over some stuff. But we've never actually had to skip our tricycle as though it was like a skipping stone. And here's what I'm talking about. You have to jump first, and then jump again to sort of skip across the track. And you have to time it really well, because if you mess it up, you're just gonna die. And that's the level. I hope you join me next time. See ya.